All right, well, I guess we'll see if I actually read any of these books. As you can probably guess from the title, we are going to be talking about all the books that I am hopefully going to be reading in June. But I gotta preface all of this with, I'm not sure I'm gonna read any of it. I felt really good when I put this TBR together. I was like, well, it's got a little bit of everything I love, trying new stuff, authors I've never heard of. And then shortly after that, I started having a series of DNFs that were happening. I am going to blame it on the fact that I read several very good books in a row. And one of my most anticipated releases, released last month, I'm going to blame it on that. I think I'm just like feeling a little bit down and out because what's going to live up to that? I kind of am getting the sense that I'm not really chasing a particular trope or subgenre right now, but I seem to be chasing more of nostalgia and chasing a feeling that I get when I read, that really super sucked in feeling, rather than a specific subgenre or trope or type of character that I'm really vibing with at the moment. So I think that's gonna make reading this upcoming month a little bit trickier. I'm hoping once I get a little bit of distance from those books that hit so hard, stay tuned for my wrap up because I will not shut up about them. But I'm hoping that once I get more distance from those, that I'll be able to kind of sort through my feelings a little bit. I don't know why I'm doing hand gestures. You know how sorting goes. That I'll be able to sort through my feelings a little bit more and get at what's actually working for me. Because lately, I have gotten picky with people's like sentence level writing, which is not a place I ever thought I'd be. So that's been a pain in my ass. With all that, for those of you in the know, you can go ahead and skip ahead like 30 seconds while I give the disclaimer for the rest. But if you haven't been around for the past month or seen any of my videos or you're brand new, hi, welcome. I must warn you, most unfortunately, that for the past month, maybe more, I've had a horrible case of vertigo. Like the worst. Well, not the worst. I don't need to exaggerate it. It's just been really bad. I couldn't get rid of it. I finally got into like chat with a doctor. I'm on a new protocol. It's helping very slowly, very slowly. I am getting better, but I still have moments where I'm like, all of a sudden, like, why am I dumb? Because I kind of forget that I have it. And then I'm like, oh, that's right. Vertigo. Vertigo's making me stupid. So if I space out, if I say dumb stuff, I mean, I do that when I don't have vertigo, but it's especially bad right now. So you've been warned. Anyways, let's just jump into the books. So first things first, we have Primary Inversion, and this is by Catherine Asaro. Yeah, that sounds good. This is going to be the first book in the saga of this. Oh, this is just going to be a pain in my ass, isn't it? We're going to give me a pass on all the names that have to do with anything in this because they're all weird. So the saga of the Scolian Empire, which just makes me think of scoliosis. Everyone's just running around with crooked backs. This is going to be like a sci-fi romance. It's supposed to blend hard sci-fi with space opera, also have romance. So this is our Baron. No, I'm the Baron. This is about our heroine. Oh my God, I should have thought a little bit harder about how to say these names before I did this. Soskany? That sounds like Saucony, like the sneaker brand. You guys know what I'm talking about? Anyways, her nickname is S-O-Z. Sos? I don't know. Anyways, our heroine is a bioengineered fighter pilot, and she's on the front lines of the military for her people. They've been in a battle with the traitors, and this is traitors as in let's exchange shit, and not traitors as in I'm gonna stab you in the back. So she has been kind of relaxing on a little bit of a military reprieve on a sanctuary planet for a bit. So this is like neutral ground. She's at a bar. She ends up running into truly like the worst of the worst in terms of enemies. It's someone who's really high up in the traitors' ruling caste, and Aristo, and that's a proper noun, not Aristo as in that's his name, and Aristo as in singular, one of many of these things. Oh, you guys get it. Now, the next line in this had me going, what the fuck? I'm very Confucius. He's on the prowl for a provider, and that's in quotes, for his barbaric impulses. So my brain, as a romance reader, just goes, looking for some action. My little bit of paranormal former self is like, vampire? Question mark? So who knows what's going on with that? Anyways, she notices that something is off with him. She does a little reconnaissance, ends up discovering he's got a secret, and this could be a threat to her people. Now, she does get a little bit hot and bothered for this guy, so that might be her empire's undoing. We shall see if the loins or the millions of people's lives went out. So, initially I was kind of drawn to this book because the cover that I initially saw, I think it's been redone, is giving me that like old school mass market paperback that my dad would have on his bookshelf. It's like that kind of 1990s and before. There's just like a certain style that I associate with sci-fi, and this had it. And so So that really piqued my interest. And then I started doing more research. As I said, it was like a blend of space opera and hard sci-fi and romance. And so I was like, that very much sounds like something I would like. And then I got into who this author is, and she piqued my interest. I was like, I need to read what this lady writes because she has multiple CDs out. She's a musician. She has a PhD in, I think, theoretical physics. I think I wrote that down correctly. And obviously has like a very robust writing career because this is a very long series with multiple interconnecting series with this series. So I want to see what this is about. I'm really hoping that this is a winner because I'm like, oh, if I have a new comfort series that I can just jump back into whenever I'm feeling like a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of romance, that would be most excellent. It also could be a massive DNF because who knows what's going on with me these days. So we'll see. The world is my oyster. Next up, I'm really excited. There is going to be a new release from Elizabeth O'Rourke. It is called Good at Being Alive. So this, I think, is a standalone. It might be an interconnected standalone. I never know with her. She usually tends to do interconnected. But anyways, this one's going to release on June 16th. It's a contemporary romance. It's got grumpy sunshine, fake relationship, and we've got like a reality TV show. So this is about Bex, and she just lost her entire family in sort of a freak train accident that happened, and she's left completely alone in the world and is now responsible for the well-being of her family's travel agency. Now, that would be a lot to take on board, but it gets even worse because her father's very straight-laced, I don't know why I wanted to say shit-faced British partner. My handwriting on my notes is not great. Her father's straight-laced British partner, Theo, tells her that the business is about to go under. I shouldn't be smiling while I say that. This is very serious. But fear not, because before her father had passed, he actually brokered a deal for a reality TV show. They're just going to put a little spin on this and hope that this saves the travel agency. So they are actually going to pretend to be married. They're newlyweds. They are going on their very extended honeymoon as a part of the show. But the thing is, like, these two truly could not be more different. She is very much free-spirited, a little bit of a party girl. And as I said, he is a straight-laced, not shit-faced, British CEO, business-minded type. So they've got cameras everywhere. So they really got to put on a good show. And as they're doing so, they're learning more and more about each other. And they're like, you know what? Actually, we're kind of a good fit. But they both have a lot of emotional baggage. They also have newfound fame from being on this reality show, and they got to figure out if they could actually make a real relationship work when the cameras stop rolling. I love Elizabeth O'Rourke. Not all of her books work for me, but when they do work for me, oh, baby, do I love them. I am willing to risk the awful misses that I sometimes end up with to hopefully get a banger of a book. I feel like this could be that easy breezy summer read where it's like a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of fun, fake dating, but it all remains to be seen. So I will be grabbing that on June 16th when it releases. Next up is Butterfly Swords by Jeannie Lin. This is part of the Tang Dynasty series. I believe it's the first book. There may be a prequel before this, but it's a historical romance, takes place in the Tang Dynasty. Why does that sound wrong? Oh, I'm thinking of Tang the drink. This is a historical romance in the Tang Dynasty, China, and this has sort of like a princess bodyguard type of feel to it. Princess Ai Li is the only daughter to the Emperor of China, and she discovers a deadly conspiracy on her wedding, so she ends up fleeing. The only thing that she is armed with when she flees are these very delicate butterfly swords. So she ends up miles from home and enlists the protection of, oh, I want to say Ryan, but I wrote Ryam. R-Y-A-M. I'm not doing well with names today. Why do I not remember this when I wrote this shit down? Let me look this up real fast. No, it is Ryam. I was correct. Okay, well, whatever. He is a blue-eyed, battle-scarred warrior. I'm assuming he's white based on that description. We shall see. The blurb at my library also calls him a barbarian, so I was like, say less. Ryam has never really valued very much in his life, and he's sort of bitter and resentful towards his lot. But Eileen's innocent trust of him and his kind of stubborn honor makes him desperate to protect her, which means he can't seduce the woman he truly wants most. All right, so spoiler alert for my wrap up for this past month. I like that better. But I read and loved The Lotus Palace, like so much. It's taking place in the same kind of general time frame, but I think that series is from like a different area and has like more mysteries to it. So anyway, that romance had so much longing, a lot of tragedy to it, but had so much tender feelings. And I haven't had a romance, not necessarily the book as a whole, but the romance specifically hit like that for me in such a long time that I was like, I need another hit of whatever that was. And I want to see what you can do with different types of characters, because the other series follies, yes. It follows a lot of like courtesans and people from the pleasure district, and I just want to see things from a little bit of a different angle, just so I don't burn myself out on that series and like get sick of it, because I really, really loved The Lotus Palace, and I wanna make sure that I'm loving those books and giving each one of them the best shot they have to wow me. So next up, I have War Cry, and this is by Elizabeth Vaughn. So this is the 4th book in the Chronicles of the Warlands. This series is a fantasy romance. It's got a warrior woman, sort of an opposites attract, clashing of cultures, a little bit of court or political intrigue. This is technically, as I said, the 4th book in a series, but since it's the 1st book with a new couple, I am going to tell you about the plot of this book, but know that you have to read this in order. You have to start with War Cries. Just know that up front. But this one, all is not well with Zai, which is the kingdom that we've been in for this series. A faction of the nobles have started plotting against the queen, Laura, and her barbarian warlord, who the previous books were about. So Heath is from Zai, and Atira of the Bear is from the very fierce Plains people. She's a warrior. They end up getting pulled into kind of fight against this conspiracy. Now the two of them must come together to sniff out and fight these traitors and figure out whether what's blossoming between them is more than just raw passion. So I have been loving this series. As I said up front, I love barbarian fantasy goodness. I love a good clashing of cultures. We have to come to understand one another. These two actually got teased in the prior book, and I was like, this would be really fascinating. Not only because I love these two for completely different reasons than I loved the other couple, but also because I think this would really put the cultural differences on full display, because she is a warrior and he is from Zai, which is kind of a it is a patriarchal culture. So I'm like, ooh, the clashing of cultures is going to play out beautifully here. The only thing though that makes me a little bit nervous is, although I do love these characters, I'm a little bit worried that this is going to end up like the Pathfinder series, where when it transitions to a new couple, I'm like, no, it's good, but it doesn't have that same magic. So fingers crossed that this goes well, because I really do miss being in this world, even though I've taken like the shortest, babyest, tiniest little break from it. I'm hoping that I can just enjoy the fact that I'm back in this world. Next up, I have Emma by Jane Austen. That's right. I am continuing on with the read-along these other booktubers are doing, despite the fact that I've not made it to a single live event. I do watch the reruns. I watch the recordings. There we go. So this is a classic. It's historical. So we have Emma Woodhouse. She is handsome, clever, rich, and those are in her own words. And she's lived a pretty easy breezy 21 years. She's sort of become like the self-appointed matchmaker of her small English village. And she decides to take Harriet Smith under her wing and play Cupid. But it turns out that her meddling is going to cause more trouble than romance. And Mr. Knightley, a longtime family friend, might just be the only person willing to tell her that she has absolutely got it wrong. So like I said, this is me continuing on my quest to try and keep up with the read-along that's been going on with other booktubers. They've been doing live shows and all of that. I haven't been able to make it to a single one. I always have plans on those days. I'm determined to keep up. This is going to be the one for next month, so I'm getting a jump start. And hopefully this next month, I'll actually make it to the live show. Well, fun fact, I just pulled a book off my TBR because I just found out it's not on KU, and the Kindle book is almost 10 American freedom dollars. That's not happening. So I'll be waiting to get that from my library. So we're gonna move on to my priority read, which is Voracious by Lee Rivers. So this is the second book in the Edge of Darkness trilogy. It's a dark romance, but it's second chance, enemies to lovers. We've got unhinged MCs. They're both unhinged for different reasons, although him more than her. Anyways, because this is a proper series and this book is the second one, I'm gonna tell you about the first book. And the premise for this is that Cade hates Stacy. She did something absolutely unforgivable, which was crush his heart. But he cannot escape her because Stacy is unfortunately very bestest friends with his twin sister. Cade has Do you have to eat while I'm recording? Kevin has decided it's K9 Crunchies time. Where was I? Oh yes, we left off Stacey is best friends with his twin sister. Cade is very obsessed with her, regardless, and kind of like hate watches her every move. Beats up and unalives anyone that even remotely gets near her. He's also kind of wrapped up in a very complex web that loosely involves his serial unaliver father, who's very mentally unwell and behind bars in the States, and these other people who are kind of pulling the strings and using things in his life to manipulate him to have at their beck and call. And part of that has turned into him taking out hits. Now, he has benefited at least a little from this setup because he is stupid rich now. But he is miserable being someone else's puppet. Now, thankfully, he's gonna get a little tiny break from the chaos of his own life. But this break has also meant that he's been closer to Stacey than he has been in years. And that means every rule that he has put in place to stay sane and stay away from her keeps getting broken. So, I really need to continue this series. Not only is this a priority read for this year because I loved the first book, it saved me from a slump at that time, but I'm almost a year out from having read it. I'm a little bit worried that I'm gonna start forgetting details. So I really need to get on that. I've heard that this one gets emotional and has a lot of flashbacks, so it's got a little bit of a different pace. So I have kind of girded my loins. I don't think that's the phrase I wanted. We're gonna move on and pretend that didn't happen. I've been warned. I'm prepared for what I'm walking into. But again, I think this is part of that nostalgia chase thing that I was kind of talking about, even if this is just from like literally yesteryear. Wait, can you use yesteryear to refer to last year? Something to look up later. But anyways, oh, I just got a genius idea. I should do this for a vlog. Okay, hold that thought. We're gonna get into my vlog books and then we'll discuss. We have options. Okay, vlog books, here we go. So my initial plan was continuing KU series that I've been putting off. Again, the nostalgia chasing, and also I've noticed that I have a habit of kind of falling off series and not finishing them necessarily, because sometimes I want to like save those books just in case I get in a slump and then I'll read those, except for I never actually read them when that happens. Or emotionally, the first book kind of wrecked me, so I need a little bit of time and space, or in some cases, I just don't want the series to be done. Other times it's been, I just want to vary up what's going to be in my content. And so I need to get better about actually finishing out series that I claim to love, so I know that I actually love them. And I've just really been enjoying like plowing through several books in a series and just like living in that world for a while. That was my initial idea. But you know what would also finish books and series and kind of hold true to this would be just actually reading the Edge of Darkness trilogy for a vlog. So I would reread Insatiable, move on to Voracious, and then whatever the last book is. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember. So we could do that, or if you prefer, we can do a vlog where I'm continuing multiple different series and all the books are interconnected. So if we want to do that route, the books that I would be reading are first, The Heir Apparent's Rejected Mate by Kate C. Wells. This is the second book in the 5 Packs series. It's a paranormal romance. It's got shifters, rejected mates. I think most of them are age gap, if I remember correctly. And obviously like fated mates. This one, Rosie is a scavenger, which is like ranking below even the lowest rank in her pack. Fate didn't really seem to care about this when it fated her with Kadok, who is the heir apparent or the future alpha. Now, one night, Rosie kind of lets herself forget the facts of life, the way life moves in this pack. It ends with Kadok very publicly rejecting her for reasons, which I'm sure are really good. But then there's 2 pink lines on a stick. That's right, folks. She's 18 and pregnant and publicly rejected. MTV's latest hit show. So Kadok tells himself that he's doing the right thing. He's trying to settle some pack politics. There's some warring factions that he needs to get calmed down. He tells himself that she'll be there when he's ready. Here's the thing though, scavengers are really good at getting lost. So this one, I read the first book earlier this year, inhaled it in a single sitting, and then this one has pregnancy trope. I was like, we gotta get to this bad boy. The next one would be Ashes by Dylan Page. This is the 3rd book in the Bleeding Heart series. It follows the Torment duet. It's a dark romance, and this is a reverse harem, why choose sort of scenario. So Casey has had a couple of different pivotal moments in her life, and it's been because other people have made choices. So the first one was her mom got married, and that ended up moving her away from where she grew up as a child and move her away from all of her friends, which was very devastating at the time. And then the second one was someone drove when they should have called a cab. Reading between the lines, I'm going to assume someone hit and unalived her mother in a drunk driving accident, because that seems likely. But this ends up landing her back in her old neighborhood, which is a lot worse than she remembers. But good news, she's at least reunited with her friends, Vale, Shaw, and Lee. And they're ready to protect her as more than friends. So the Torment Duet I read back in 2024, maybe, I think, and it devastated me. So I was too chicken to pick up the next book. But I think the fact that this is like why choose, I'm just a little bit curious if I can find another author that I like that pulls off this trope, but it also made me a little bit hesitant to pick this one up. So we're gonna see. But I'm a little bit more hesitant about this one. Then we have Lawless God by Lola King. This is the 4th book in the North Shore series. This is a dark romance, enemies to lovers. It's got like an organized crime gang kind of thing going on. So our heroine for this one is Kayla the Ruthless. So she is queen of the North Shore. She's the leader of the King's crew, which is like her last name is King, which is funny because she's the queen of the North Shore, but her last name is King. Anyways, I digress. She sent a psychopath to prison and now he's out and back for revenge. Nathan White, the Lawless God. Oh my God, I just realized this is connected to the Stoneview stories. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, that made me so excited. Oh, I love the Lolaverse. Okay, anyways, but it turns out Nathan doesn't want her dead. He just wants her to suffer. So he ends up doing that by taking her captive and destroying her crew. So I really love this series. They are not the most well-crafted books. They're kind of unhinged wild rides that I love. They're good in the same way that eating McDonald's in your car late night is good. Like, you don't want to do it all the time, but it is enjoyable every once in a while. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm ready for a Big Mac. Let me know, would you rather I read those 3 books and try and make some progress on a bunch of different series, or should I just read a proper series, the Edge of Darkness trilogy? Let me know what you think, because I don't think I've ever done a full series as a part of a vlog. So that would be something different, but I guess I've also never done the other concept before. So I don't know, let me know what sounds better to you. All right, with all that, thank you so much for being here. Didn't have too many brain glitches from the vertigo. Huzzah, I'll take it. I would love to hear from you now, what you're planning to read in this upcoming month, who's transitioning to those summary reads, any new releases that you're really excited for, things that you loved from the prior month that you think that should be on my radar. I would love to hear anything and everything. And with all of that, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like this video if you did in fact like it, and do not forget to subscribe, especially if it's your first time here, or if you've been around for a couple of videos, just double check that you're subscribed. I would love to have you back for more videos. So I really, really, really do hope I see you in my next video. Bye-bye.